Good afternoon. It is a beautiful Friday afternoon in Bonniedom. Just out for a wee walk in the park, and I thought I'd share something that was on my mind today. This morning there was a post on Facebook that mentioned the reopening of McDonald's and Burger King, and people are hailing that as some kind of return to normal. And honestly, when I'm reading this stuff, I'm thinking to myself, it's not normal. It's not a win. I had kind of hoped that during this process of transformation and change, that maybe some of these franchises would go bust and we could be freed from the shackles of fast food. Well, it's called fast food, but it's not actually food. They use science and they use our predisposition for high value substances like salt, sugar and fat to trick us into thinking that it's food, but it really isn't. And so this has made me start to consider, well, what actually is food? What are we consuming? And is there a spiritual component to what we eat? And of course there is. We as humans are electrical beings. There is an electrical and magnetic reality to our existence. Like this wee pendant I've got on here. This is a quartz crystal, high vibrational quartz crystal with a couple of really powerful magnets on the side, and they work together to heal your physical and etheric body. I've been wearing this pendant now for maybe a couple of weeks, and already I'm just way more calm. Loads of things that I'm struggling to break through with meditation alone seem to have just cleared up. So there's obviously, meditation is great, but there's also tools and what we consume plays a massive part in that, you know. And so food is no exception. If you're putting junk into your body, you're going to get junk out of your body. That's the simple fact. There's probably no electrical... When you're eating fast food, you're probably getting no electricity from that, you know. There's no charge. It's ticking some boxes deep in your ancient operating system. You know, if you were a hunter-gatherer, a high fat or a high sugar or high salt, something with high salt content would be desirable, you know. But this fast food is not, it's not giving you what you need. It's not feeding you. So it made me think a wee bit about, like, well, if that's something that you've done or you've always done, and if you don't know any better, or if you're numb to what it feels like to exist on real food, then how can we go about changing that? Well, the most effective way that I've come across is fasting. And fasting doesn't need to be complicated. It's actually really simple. 24 hours fast once a week or once every couple of weeks or even once a month will begin to show you the difference between real and fake food. What it will also do is it will bring up the deep internal tensions and issues that you really are needing to focus on. So, what does a 24-hour fast look like? Actually, most people have probably accidentally fasted for 24 hours. It's not that difficult. So if you, on Saturday's tomorrow, so you wake up on Saturday and you have your breakfast as normal, you have a decent lunch, no fast food, no junk, you have a home cooked lunch or you go out for a meal, and then your last meal you have something light. If it's maybe a soup, or if it's in the summer you could have a salad, something like that, something light. And then from that, the rest of the night, you don't eat anymore. You don't drink caffeine, you don't add sugar to tea. You can have water with maybe a wee bit of lemon in it, but probably just straight water's quite good, or a herbal tea. No caffeine, no cigarettes, no alcohol, no food. And then also what could be really powerful in that process is to have a wee break from your phone or your computer, social media. Maybe you want to watch a movie or something, but take time for yourself. So that will take you through at the end of Saturday night, which is only a couple of hours really when you think about it, you know. And then Sunday morning you get up, go through your cleansing routine, whatever that is, and then have your cup of tea. No caffeine, no cigarettes, no alcohol, no sugar. So you have some water or some herbal tea, and then bang, you're at lunchtime before you know it. Now you can start thinking about food. Now you could start considering, what am I going to have, or to start preparing food. And come Sunday tea time, you have an early tea, 4 o'clock, something like that. You're almost at the 24-hour mark. It's not a lot, but what it will do for you, the return on investment will be massive. Absolutely huge. A good thing you could do also is maybe have some melon as your kind of starter, and then leave it maybe half an hour before you have the actual meal, and the melon will just replenish your electrolytes and that kind of stuff. It's a good way to go. And what you'll begin to notice is, once you fast and then eat food, you'll really taste it, you know? You'll really be like, wow, I didn't realise how powerful this flavour was, or how salty this thing is, or whatever it is. And once you go through the process of doing a couple of fasts, maybe once a month or once every couple of weeks, you start to really enjoy it, but also you start to become aware of just how intense some of the food is that you're eating. For me, when I began to fast, there was a couple of times I broke a fast with junk food or fast food, or I remember one time I had like a can of juice, you know. Yeah, so I broke a fast with a can of juice, and it was a really bad idea. I felt awful after half an hour. My stomach was sore, it was cramping up, it was just really nasty. And as time's gone on, my sensitivity has increased. I've started to, the subtleties of flavour came back, you know. And with a lifetime of just eating the way everybody eats and never really having a break from eating, and you become kind of numb, you know. Your taste buds become numb, your body becomes numb, the physiological feedback that you get from what you're putting in your body is dampened, you know, your insulin response is all fucked up. There's so many things going on there. And this is the same thing that's happening with people that are in sheltering at home at the moment, you know. When you become isolated and starved of those energetic connections that you are so used to and accustomed to, that your body has cravings. You know, you're in your own energy field, and there's all these entanglements that you have because of with relationships with friends and family, and most people are existing in that space. And so you're essentially fasting from that reality, and you're going through it. You know, you're going through the withdrawals or the cravings. And it's like, when I mention fasting or when I mention meditation and people say something like, oh my god, I can't go without food, or I really, when I meditate, I just feel like I fucking want to pull my hair out, or I'd rather do anything else, or I'm in this house and I've cleaned it so much and I just need out of here. And it's like, the same people that are talking about not being able to fast and not being able to meditate are the same people that are prepared to drink alcohol and go on a night out and have a great time and then suffer the next day. Well, what I'm proposing isn't any different to that, right? Only what you're doing with alcohol is you're going on the night out, getting yourself all G'd up for it, you're getting it down your neck, and you're getting a spike. You're artificially inducing the release of the energy. You're borrowing energy for the next day or the next couple of days, and you're having a great time, brilliant. And then the next day you suffer for it, because what goes up must come down. And so, what the purpose, or what, maybe not the purpose, but what the process of meditation is, or the process of fasting, is you just do that in reverse. So, you put credits in the bank. You go through the pain and the hardship and the kind of the hangover process, but you do that first, and the body wakes up. When you put your body into a fasted state, or when you meditate, the body begins to activate. It starts to wake up and check in on itself, you know. It's like, wait a minute, I'm needing food right now, but there's no food coming in. What else can I do? Where can I put my energy to? You know. And at first, what it will do is it will try and get you to find food or move or do anything other than sit still for a minute, you know. But then, once you get through that initial kind of like turbulence, it actually gets really easy and comfortable and quite enjoyable. And you can begin to explore your inner world. You can begin to tune into the organs, to the flow, to your heartbeat, to how your mind is working. Why do you think a certain way? Why does that piss you off? Why does that person piss you off? What is it about them? What is it about you? What is it about you that kind of accept things the way they are? And then you can begin to identify the things that you need to just accept and get over. And then you could also begin to start to investigate the things that you do want to change and that you want to get rid of and that aren't serving you anymore. But the process really does begin with intention, having that idea in your mind that this is something that I want to try. You know, maybe you're curious, maybe you feel like you're on a spiritual path, but you're not quite sure what that means. Maybe you've been on the spiritual path for a while, but you haven't attempted fasting yet. Maybe you're been meditating quite a lot and you're ready for the next step. Maybe you're living a material existence and that's serving you really well right now and you're fucking loving it, right? So, spiritual existence and material existence, actually, they're no different. The spiritual and the material are on the same axis, but they're just the opposite ends of that. They're on opposite ends of that axis. So the idea is to be somewhere in the middle. And actually, if we break that down and separate them onto two different axes. So if you put the material existence on the horizontal axis going across the way, and the spiritual existence going on the vertical, going up and down the way, then you want to aim to exist somewhere in the centre of that cross. And so yeah, maybe you're living in a material existence. Maybe up until just previous to the social, the isolating thing that's going on. Maybe you had a great job, you got money coming in, you're at the gym every day of the week, you're banging it out, smashing it out, weekends you're out with the boys, you're out fucking on it. Life is great. Like, why would you challenge that? Why would you question that? Why would you ever need to consider meditation or fasting? Why would you, what's the need there? You've got everything you could possibly ever want. And then, bang, you're in isolation. You're working online, you're doing your workouts online, and you're having fucking nights out on Zoom with your mates, you know? Sitting in your house and you're fucking in your jammies with your bottle of Bucks Fizz or Fast or whatever it is that you're on this week. And it's like, if that's the where you want to be in your life, and if you're really loving that, then fucking crack on, right? But if you're starting to see that there might be more to life than this material existence, then this could be something for you. And it's important to have the balance as well, because a purely material existence, while it will give you what you need in terms of food, and you know, your physical body will be functioning, which will be great, because you know, you could move around and you could breathe properly and all that great stuff. But you'll be lacking in a kind of any kind of trauma or hardship or unforeseen circumstances, then you might not have the tools to get through that, and you might break down. And on the flip side of that, you might be really spiritually inclined. You might be, you know, you might feel like your spiritual path is calling you to go and sit in a cave somewhere or on top of a mountain and, you know, meditate for the next 20 years. If you've got the opportunity to do that, great, absolutely awesome, crack on. But when you go and do that, you wouldn't necessarily have the ability to integrate what you've learned about yourself or the world or the universe into your normal everyday life. And what use is it developing a spiritual practice that doesn't give you the tools that you need to function in the real world on a spiritual level? And so, thinking about that cross, that vertical and horizontal axis, the spiritual and the material, and trying to be somewhere in the middle there, well, we could get all the benefits of the material existence, and we could integrate spiritual practice into our day-to-day life that takes no more than 10 or 20 minutes every day, and we could turn the material existence into a consecrated divine reality. For example, for the past wee while, but especially this week, when I'm waking up in the morning, I'm making my cup of tea, having a shower, and I'm sitting down with the tea pretty much in silence, and I'm just taking that time it takes to drink the tea to be still. And once it's finished, sitting with my legs crossed and my spine straight for a few minutes more, and just coming into my centre. This to me is me aligning myself with my kind of higher self, you know, my physical body aligning to my higher self. And it's coming into stillness and creating a little bit of space so that when I step out the door to go and do whatever I'm going to do that day, then there's no turbulence. I've gone through the turbulence before I go about my day. Well, today that didn't happen. Last night I was meditating quite late, and I had some nice calming Scottish folk music on, and I felt really awesome. It was a great night, you know, it was a great wee party for one. And then I woke up this morning and I was still feeling awesome. I had a fantastic sleep and some really powerful dreams, and I woke up this morning and I continued that vibe. I put the music on and I started to write notes and I drank my tea. But what I didn't do was I didn't consecrate my morning. So when I left the house today to come and go for a walk, make this video, I was a little bit shaky and a little bit turbulent. And I had the realisation that I hadn't taken those few minutes for myself. And what is a few minutes, really, if you've got it, you know? And so this reaffirms to me the idea that I need to consecrate my mornings and connect with that divine intelligence and this higher sense of self. And so it really is quite a simple practice, and it's necessary and to integrate that, you know. We are living in this very strange time, and there are lessons and blessings everywhere we look, and it's on us to be aware of what we're putting in our bodies and what we are consuming. The news we're consuming, the people we're hanging around with, the kind of information we're prepared to, our opinions we're prepared to accept and to tolerate, the food that we're putting in our bodies, but also what we are putting out into the world, and the effect that you can have on the world around you, you know. So I noticed that people really struggle with pressure, you know, and I see quite often people passing the pressure from one person to the next. So you could be going about your day quite fine, and then somebody comes along, they're having a shitty day, they get up in your face for whatever reason. Maybe you're in the car, maybe you fucking, you know, you take the last mango off the shelf, or whatever the situation is, and the person blows up at you. They pass that pressure on to you, and then you go home, your partner's there, and then you pass that pressure on to them, and it's just this endless cycle of like passing on pressure and not really being considerate of others. And through this simple consecrated practice of being still in the morning, or not using stimulants, you know, not nicotine, alcohol, sugar, caffeine, not constantly force feeding yourself stimulants to get through the next hour, 2 hours or 24 hours, you could begin to bring a kind of, to flatten the curve, you know. You could flatten the curve of your existence. You can kind of bring yourself into that middle path, you know, to a less extreme existence. And then when you step out into the world and you come across people or a person or an environment or a situation where someone is ready to pass that pressure onto you, you can just absorb it and pop it up and transmute it. It disappears forever, you know. And even if, I mean, we're only human, right? So it's not like you don't have to be the Buddha, and you don't have to be totally emotionless and you know, not completely non-reactive from the moment you open your eyes and wake up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep. But even if that's your conscious practice, is to begin to be less reactive, or to be more considerate, or to see compassion and love as a response rather than anger and frustration or sorrow or anxiety, then very quickly you'll notice that your own life and the lives of people around you and the world around you will begin to change. And yeah, so I don't want to do too much, because there's some other things that I would like to get into, but maybe in a later video. So yeah, just now we're thinking about resistance and existence and flow. What it means to be in flow, what it means to be existing and kind of operating from your essence. And so we're thinking about the material existence and the spiritual existence. And we're looking at the idea that we want to live in balance. We want to take the everyday material things that we are doing anyway, and we're probably doing them well, some of you, most of you, and we want to add a spiritual component to that, and we want to elevate that to the next level. You want to ask yourself, do you want Do you want normal or do you want exceptional? And this divine way of operating, this being in communion directly with God, with your higher self, this will bring you into that place of higher purpose. And it's like, so spiritual existence versus material existence could come down to something as simple as the job that you do. Like trying to feed your soul and your belly, you know? So it might be the case that you've got a job that is very well paid. Maybe you are in sales, maybe you're in marketing, something like that, and the pay is really good, but you're advertising a product that you don't believe in, or you're selling a product that you don't believe in. You're selling a product to old vulnerable grannies who are, you know, giving you the last of their savings so that you could pay £500 a month on a BMW car. Well, this is you feeding your material existence, but is it feeding your spiritual needs? And then on the flip side of that, maybe your spiritual needs are, you feel like your spiritual needs are being separate from society, living on your own in a forest for the rest of your days, and maybe that would feed your spiritual needs in some ways, but what are you contributing to the society that raised you? What are you contributing to the people who need you? You know, how are you going to feed yourself? Maybe you're neglecting your material existence then, you know? And so the idea is to find a purpose in life that feeds your material and your spiritual purpose needs, you know? And it's trial and error. It's not like you're going to know. You might know. Maybe you've known since you were 12 years old that you want to be a doctor or a nurse, in which case, great. Then you get to do both of those things. You get to feed your soul and help other people, and also you get money for that, you know, or whatever you need to survive. So this is the idea, to begin to consider, to strip back the layers of protection that you may be carrying, or to be shedding the kind of the blankets of comfort that are strapped around your shoulders. And sensitivity is key, you know. So if you're not currently sensitive to what's going on within your body, or maybe that manifests as being overly sensitive, maybe you're hyper reactive because you just feel everything so much, then maybe there's some things that you're holding on to that you need to let go. Maybe there's a knife in your side that you're gripping onto, and that gripping of that knife is actually causing you more problems than it's fixing, you know. And it's not nice, it's not easy to pull it out and to begin to bleed, but maybe you need to bleed for a little while before it clots up, you know. And then, so we're looking at that and we're thinking, right, we want to be sensitive. We're thinking, how do I get from where I am now to where I want to be? How do I get to the place in life where I'm living this calm, balanced, non-reactive life and in communion with the divine, living life to the fullest? Well, it begins with, the first thing is intention. The first thing is noticing the synchronicities that are going on around you. It's being open to the environment and your body communicating with you. It's having the inspiration to follow your nose or follow your gut, you know. This is the first instance. You may notice that there are synchronicities going on and you're already thinking to yourself, whoa, this is a bit trippy, I'm on a spiritual path here. Listen to that, follow it. The next thing is that, one, you're aware of that, so you have this intention that you want to be on the path, but you're not sure what it means to be on the path. So there are two main things that we can do to empower ourselves and to assist ourselves to begin to step along the path. The first thing is awareness meditation, finding a place in nature. There are previous videos about this. Connecting with nature, tuning into the resonance of nature, creating stillness, creating space within the body to receive the signals or to tune into your intuition. And a really powerful way to do that is through an awareness meditation by scanning the body. So something like Vipassana or something like that, you know. Again, there's another video previously. So intention and awareness meditation, getting in tune with nature, and also fasting. So a 24-hour fast is honestly enough. 24-hour fast, ideally once a week, right? Like every Saturday you fast Saturday night until Sunday tea time. That would be cool. But if you can't manage that, even once a month, trying it once and keeping a diary of how it goes. And you'll be in a vulnerable state here, right? So you'll be hungry, so you'll be tired, so you'll be weak, so you'll be more reactive, but you'll be less inclined to react with anger. Because your energy is depleted, right? So it'll be other things that come up. You know, you might cry, you might feel empty. There may be loads of things that happen, but the end product is worth it. You start to feel happy and more vibrant, and it's almost like you're unclogging the pipes, you know? So yeah, we've got intention to step along the path. We have awareness meditation, and we have fasting. So those are three really powerful and essential tools towards developing spiritually and connecting with your higher self. And from that we can begin to integrate this higher awareness into our everyday life, and we can come to the center point on that cross, and that we could operate from the heart center. So if you imagine that the body is a cross, and this is the vertical line and this is the horizontal line, well, in the center of that is the balance between your spiritual existence and material existence, but it's also where your heart is at. And we could go deeper into the heart in another video. So yeah, give it a go. Let's talk about it. Let's share what's going on in our lives, and if there's anything you want to know, reach out, send me a message, and we could chat. Awesome. Have a beautiful day.